Hey professionals, does it feel like the personal development gurus are constantly asking you to chase big goals? Well look, there's nothing wrong with big motivational goals when they're grounded. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the difference between grounded and ungrounded goals. And we're going to look at 5 ways that you can ensure that your goals remain grounded. My name's Steve and I coach professional people just like you to combine your personal brilliance with unshakable emotional freedom so that you can create a happier and more successful experience of your life and work. And a great place to start is with my free download 5 simple steps to master stress in the moment. You can get the download link in the description below this video. Now, as I said, there's nothing wrong with big motivational goals when they're grounded. But unfortunately, a lot of goals are not grounded, and a lot of people in the high achievement world are not coming from a grounded place. But what do I mean by grounded, and what do I mean by groundedness? Well, for me, groundedness is living and working from a deep understanding of life, an understanding of life which is not through the lens of our fears and insecurities. And it means living and working from a set of values and beliefs and understandings which also are not through the filter of our fears and insecurities. And when I talk about ungrounded goals, I'm talking about goals which are coming from ego, fear and insecurity. Now, there are broadly 3 types of ungrounded goal. Type number 1 is the materialistic goal, the quest for wealth and for material possessions. As if it's wealth and material possessions that are going to make us happy, like we can't be happy until we have lots of stuff. The second type is what I would call the status-oriented goal, which is actually related to the third type, which is the power-oriented goal. And this is where we seek to have status over other people and power over other people and power over things so that we can make things the way we want them to be. The need to have power over other people is not grounded and generally comes from some kind of fear of what might happen if you don't have that power over other people. You sometimes see people in the high achievement world talking about how they want to achieve things because they want to prove themselves to themselves, or they want to prove other people wrong, or they want to stick it to other people like your achievement would be a revenge on them. Again, that's not grounded. That's coming from fear, ego and insecurity. So how do we make our goals more grounded? Well, number 1 is to work on our own groundedness. Now, the thing about groundedness is it's not like a binary switch. It's not like you're either not grounded or you are grounded. It's more useful to think about it as a spectrum from totally ungrounded to totally grounded. And we're all somewhere between the 2 poles. And the work that we do on our own groundedness will push us more towards groundedness. Now, I personally think that full groundedness is something that we probably never achieve, but we can certainly be more grounded than we were yesterday. And the kind of work that we can do on our groundedness involves working on our understanding of life, working on our seeing of life, working on the values and beliefs that we live and work from. And make no mistake, that's no small investment. It doesn't mean that it's hard, but it does take time and it does take work. And that's one of the reasons why you might work with a professional coach, for instance. But when you work on your groundedness so you can live and work from a more grounded place, you will naturally choose more grounded goals. You will naturally be more able to see the difference between the grounded and the ungrounded goals. And the ungrounded goals won't seem nearly as compelling. Number 2 is to check your goals to see if they are materialist goals, status-oriented goals, or power-oriented goals. Sometimes you'll meet somebody whose goal is to make themselves a millionaire by the time they're 30. And when you explore it, where that's coming from is an insecurity around money, a fear of what will happen to them if they're not wealthy. Now, there's nothing wrong with wealth-oriented goals in and of themselves if they're grounded. But when it's coming from that kind of fear and insecurity, the problem is you can acquire wealth and still be insecure because you didn't deal with the insecurity itself. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know that there are happy millionaires and I know that there are unhappy millionaires. Millionaires can just dream bigger ways of losing their money. So if the problem is a fear and an insecurity around money, I would put it to you that the place to work on is on the fear and insecurity. Because if you think about it, acquiring wealth from fear and insecurity really just reinforces that fear and insecurity. And whilst it might feel better to have that buffer of money, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having a buffer of money, the thing is it didn't deal with the fear and insecurity. And that's where the real work is in that case. Number 3 is to check on the goal behind the goal, because every goal that you have, every desire that you have, has another goal behind it that we may be less conscious of. We've already talked about the example where somebody comes up with the goal of wanting to make themselves a millionaire by the time they're 30 because they have a goal behind the goal, which is to deal with their fears and insecurities around money. But that doesn't mean to say that all goals around money are necessarily ungrounded. It depends on what the goal behind the goal is. For instance, if the goal behind your goal of creating money is that you want to produce a film that you want to entertain people with and that you want to create a business out of film, there's nothing necessarily ungrounded about that. And similarly, if the reason you wanted to create wealth is so that you can use that wealth in the service of humanity, that wouldn't be ungrounded either. So it's worth checking the goal behind the goal to see if the goal behind the goal is about your fears, your egos, your insecurities, or whether it's about what inspires you, what you're inspired to create in the world, what you're inspired to make a business out of, what you're inspired to be of service with. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, do give it the thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the notifications bell so that you'll know when new content like this arrives. Number 4 is to invest in understanding where happiness really comes from, because a lot of our goals come from the story that if I achieve this, that will make me happy. And what that does is it makes happiness a thing, an object that we can place anywhere in time and space. And guess what? We place it over there, and we set ourselves an assault course between here and there that we have to cross to get to the happiness and get it. But the thing is, that's not really how happiness works. For one thing, happiness isn't really a thing, and it's not over there. Now, I'm not saying that you won't be happy working on your goals, but happiness is always an inside job. And so tip number 4 is about investing in that understanding that happiness is an inside job and that it's not about crossing assault courses to get it over there. Tip number 5 is to check your goals against a thing called impact bias. Now, if you want to understand about impact bias and understand how to examine for impact bias, then click on this video up here. Or if you've already clicked on that video, then click on this video down here instead. This is Steve, wishing you health and happiness.